few months ago, my wife and I took a trip down to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And while we were there, we took the chance to head down to Charleston, and we visited the USS Yorktown. And of course, right beside the Yorktown is a famous destroyer, the USS Laffey DD-724. And to tell the truth, although we enjoyed the USS Yorktown, I had just as much fun on the Laffey. And in fact, I decided to finally do an episode on this particular ship, and you may even see some of our photos and footage during this episode. So here it is, the USS Laffey DD-724. April 16th, 1945, off the coast of Okinawa. In just 80 minutes, one American destroyer would face the most intense aerial assault ever survived by a single ship in naval history. 22 kamikaze aircraft and countless bombs would target her. 6 kamikazes would strike home, but she would not sink. This is the story of the USS Laffey DD-724, the ship that would not die. USS Laffey was born in the crucible of World War II, laid down on June 28, 1943 at Bath Iron Works in Maine. She was an Alan M. Sumner-class destroyer, 376 feet long, displacing 2,200 tons and capable of 34 knots. She was armed with 6 5-inch guns, 12 40-millimeter anti-aircraft guns, and 11 20-millimeter cannons. Launched on November the 21st, 1943, and commissioned on February the 8th of 1944, she was named after Bartlett Laffey, a Civil War Medal of Honor recipient. But she also carried the legacy of another Laffey, DD-459, which had been sunk during the naval Battle of Guadalcanal in November of 1942, fighting heroically against overwhelming Japanese forces. Her first commander, Frederick Julian Beckton, would lead her crew of 336 men into history. Commander Beckton was a seasoned naval officer, calm under pressure and deeply committed to his crew. Under his leadership, Laffey would become one of the most celebrated destroyers in U.S. Navy history. Laffey's baptism by fire came quickly. After shakedown and training, she was assigned to the Atlantic, participating in the Normandy invasion on June 6 of 1944, D-Day. As part of the fire support group, Laffey's guns pounded German positions on Utah Beach, providing crucial support for American troops storming ashore. In late 1944, Laffey transitioned to join the massive American offensive against Japan. She participated in the Philippines campaign, providing shore bombardment and anti-aircraft protection for the invasion forces. By early 1945, the Americans were closing in on Japan itself. The next target was Okinawa, a large island just 340 miles from the Japanese home islands. Taking Okinawa would provide airfields and harbors for that final invasion of Japan. The Japanese knew this, and they were prepared to defend it with everything they had, including a new and terrifying weapon, the Kamikaze, or Divine Wind. On April 1st, 1945, American forces stormed ashore on Okinawa in Operation Iceberg, the largest amphibious assault of the Pacific War. Over 1,300 ships participated, and nearly 200,000 troops would fight in the 82-day battle that followed. The Japanese response was swift and savage. Waves of kamikaze aircraft began attacking the fleet. The kamikazes were part of Operation Kakutsu, meaning floating chrysanthemum, coordinated mass attacks designed to destroy the American fleet through sheer sacrifice. The most dangerous assignment in the fleet fell to the radar Picket destroyers. These ships were stationed in a ring around Okinawa, 50 to 100 miles from the main fleet, serving as an early warning system against incoming kamikazes. They would detect enemy aircraft on radar and vector in fighters to intercept them. But this also meant they would be the first ships the kamikazes encountered and the first targets they attacked. USS Laffey was assigned to Radar Picket Station Number 1, the northernmost and most exposed position, just 30 miles from the Japanese-held airfields. It was the most dangerous spot in the entire theater. April 16, 1945, at 07:45 hours, Laffey was on station with 2 support gunboats when radar detected a massive incoming raid. 50-plus aircraft headed directly for them. Within minutes, the sky was filled with Japanese planes. Zeros, Vals, Judys, and Oscars dove from every direction. Commander Beckton ordered full speed ahead and began maneuvering violently, trying to throw off the attackers, while his gunners filled the sky with flak. At 0830 hours, the first Kamikaze struck. A Val, which is a carrier-based dive bomber, crashed into one of the aft gun mounts, killing the entire crew. Seconds later, a bomb exploded on the fantail. Then another Kamikaze hit the starboard side. The ship shuddered but kept firing. For the next hour, it was pure hell. Laffey's guns shot down 9 aircraft, but they kept coming. A 4th Kamikaze crashed into the ship. A 5th. A 6th. Bombs detonated on deck. The steering gear was destroyed. Laffey could only steer manually from the fantail. Fires raged throughout the ship. The radar was knocked out. Communications were severed between stations. At one point, Commander Beckton looked up to see a Zero fighter diving straight at the bridge. He calmly ordered, "Stand by for a crash." The plane hit the deck just forward of the bridge, its bomb penetrating below decks before exploding, killing 26 men instantly. 22 aircraft attacked USS Laffey in 80 minutes. 6 Kamikaze struck home. 4 bombs hit her directly. She was dead in the water, on fire, listing with 31 men killed and 72 wounded, nearly a third of her crew casualties. Her superstructure was twisted wreckage. 3 of her 6 main guns were destroyed, but she was still afloat, and her crew was still fighting. When the attack finally ended at 0950 hours, the silence was deafening. Survivors looked around at the carnage, amazed that they were still alive. Commander Beckton surveyed his battered, burning ship and gave the order that would define Laffey's legacy. "We will save her," he declared. For hours, Laffey's crew fought to save their ship. Damage control teams battled the fires. Medical personnel treated the wounded on blood-soaked decks. Engineers worked to restore power. Other ships came alongside to help, including the USS Macomb, which took Laffey in tow. Slowly, impossibly, the fires were brought under control. The flooding was contained. Against all odds, Laffey survived the night. She was towed to Hagushi Anchorage, then to Saipan. The repairs took months, but Laffey returned to service just as the war ended. She had earned 5 battle stars for her World War II service, including the Presidential Unit Citation for her stand at Okinawa. Why did Laffey survive when so many other ships didn't? Superior damage control training, excellent crew cohesion, Commander Beckton's brilliant ship handling, a measure of luck, or perhaps quite simply American engineering. The Alan M. Sumner-class destroyers were tough, well-designed ships, and Laffey proved it. Her crew called her the ship that would not die, and the name stuck. Laffey's story didn't end with World War II. She was recommissioned for the Korean War, serving with distinction from 1951 to 1953, earning 2 additional battle stars. She continued in service through the 1960s before being decommissioned in 1975. But Laffey's greatest mission was yet to come. In 1981, she became a museum ship at Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum in Charleston, South Carolina, where she remains to this day, the most decorated destroyer still afloat. Visitors can walk her decks, stand on the bridge where Commander Beckton calmly faced down kamikazes, and see the battle damage scars that were deliberately preserved. She stands as a memorial to her crew, the 31 men who gave their lives, and the 305 crewmen who fought to save her. She represents the thousands of sailors who served on radar picket duty at Okinawa, suffering some of the highest casualty rates in the entire Pacific War. And she reminds us of what courage, determination, and brotherhood can achieve in the darkest hours. The USS Laffey, the ship that would not die.
Waters, report to the bridge.
Welcome to the Combat Information Center, the nerve center of the ship and where all the action is. I'm Lieutenant Miller, and today we are monitoring activity out here in the Mediterranean. And with the Cold War, there's plenty of activity, particularly with the Russians. At present, we're tracking a Russian Tu-95 reconnaissance aircraft, also known as Bear, on our air search radar behind me. Its coordinates are then manually tracked on the main plot board here. Soviet reconnaissance aircraft have been buzzing the fleet for days, and it looks like any minute that Bear will be flying right over it. Over the last several years, the Soviets' presence here has steadily grown.